They said Adrian Cole had everything: power, wealth, legacy, and the kind of name that opened doors before he even knocked. But standing beneath the chandeliers of the Marlowe Estate that night, surrounded by laughter that didn't reach anyone's eyes, he realized something terrifying. He felt nothing. Not pride. Not joy. Not even envy. Just the hollow echo of a man who'd won every battle, except the one for his own soul. The champagne glass shattered at Adrian Cole's feet, crystal fragments scattering across polished marble like diamonds thrown to swine. He didn't flinch. Around him, the Marlowe Estate ballroom hummed with wealth, chandeliers dripping light, designer gowns swishing past, laughter that sounded rehearsed. Adrian stood perfectly still, watching the amber liquid spread across white stone, and felt absolutely nothing. "Losing your touch, Cole?" Victor Lang appeared at his elbow, grinning, already tipsy. "That's the second glass tonight." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Maybe I'm just bored of holding things that break too easily." Victor laughed, clapping him on the shoulder. "Philosophical tonight, are we? Come on, there's a Swedish investor who wants to talk acquisitions. Smile, charm, conquer. You know the drill." Adrian knew the drill. He'd been performing it for 34 years. He surveyed the room, men in tailored suits discussing mergers like war strategies, women glittering with jewelry that cost more than most people's homes, everyone playing the same exhausting game of status and influence. He had everything they wanted. The corner office. The legacy name. The untouchable reputation. And yet, standing in a room full of people, Adrian Cole had never felt more alone. That's when she walked in. Zara Monroe entered like she owned the air itself. Emerald gown, natural hair swept elegantly to one side, skin gleaming against the fabric. But it wasn't her beauty that silenced conversations, it was her presence. Confident. Unapologetic. Real. Adrian's gaze followed her across the room. She moved through the crowd with ease, but there was something different about her. She wasn't performing. She wasn't trying to impress. She simply existed, fully and completely, and somehow that made everyone else look like shadows. "Who is that?" Adrian asked. Victor followed his gaze. "Zara Monroe. Urban development consultant. Brilliant, from what I hear. Also completely uninterested in playing our games." He smirked. "Why? Planning to add her to your collection of things that bore you?" Adrian didn't answer. He was already walking toward her. She stood near the balcony doors, champagne untouched in her hand, watching the party with an expression that mirrored his own earlier detachment. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else," Adrian said as he approached. Zara turned, appraising him with intelligent dark eyes. "And you look like a man who hosts parties he doesn't enjoy." "I don't host. I attend. There's a difference." "Is there?" She tilted her head. "You're Adrian Cole. This world was built for people like you. If you're not enjoying it, that's a choice." He blinked, caught off guard. People didn't talk to him like this. "You don't pull punches. Life's too short." She set down her glass. "I saw your foundation's announcement last month. Very impressive. Very polished. Very performative?" Her lips curved slightly. "Your word, not mine." Adrian felt something unfamiliar stir in his chest. Curiosity. Interest. "You think I don't care about the causes I support? I think you care about appearing to care. There's a difference." Zara met his gaze directly. "You look like a man who's mastered everything but peace, Mr. Cole." Before he could respond, she walked away, leaving him standing alone with words that would echo in his mind for days. 3 weeks later, Adrian saw her again at a corporate conference in Manhattan. He'd thought about her constantly, her words, her presence, the way she'd seen through him so effortlessly. When he spotted her in the hotel cafe afterward, he didn't hesitate. "Ms. Monroe." She looked up from her laptop, surprise flickering across her features before settling into amusement. "The CEO who hates parties. What are you doing here?" "Same conference. Terrible keynote speaker." "Agreed." He talked for 40 minutes without saying anything meaningful. She gestured to the empty chair. Are you going to sit, or just hover intimidatingly? Adrian sat. I'm not intimidating. You absolutely are. You just don't notice because people usually let you be. Zara closed her laptop. But I'm guessing that's not why you're here. I haven't stopped thinking about what you said. At the Marlowe Estate. About your performative philanthropy? About peace. He leaned forward. You were right. I've built an empire, run a company worth billions, carried a legacy that goes back generations. And I can't remember the last time I felt something real. Zara's expression softened. That's honest. You inspired honesty. They talked for 2 hours. About ambition and authenticity, about the masks people wear and the cost of wearing them too long. Adrian told her about the pressure of the Cole name, the expectations that shaped him before he could choose his own shape. Zara shared her own story, growing up in Brooklyn, fighting for every opportunity, building a career in spaces that weren't designed for women who looked like her. You make it sound like you're on autopilot, Zara said quietly. Maybe I am. Maybe I have been for years. Adrian held her gaze. But talking to you, this feels different. This feels real. She smiled, genuine and warm. Then maybe you should do more of it. They exchanged numbers. Adrian left the cafe feeling something he hadn't felt in years: hope. Over the following months, Zara became his anchor to a world beyond boardrooms and bottom lines. She took him to a Harlem jazz club where music poured from instruments like prayers. They ate street food from vendors she'd known since childhood. They spent hours in independent bookstores, Zara pulling volumes from shelves and reading passages aloud while Adrian listened, fascinated by the way her mind worked. You're changing me, he told her one night, standing outside her apartment after dinner at a small Ethiopian restaurant she loved. No. Zara touched his face gently. I'm just helping you remember who you are underneath everything you've been told to be. You make me want to be the man I thought I already was. She kissed him then, soft and deliberate, and Adrian felt the world shift on its axis. But reality has a way of intruding on private happiness. You need to meet my family, Adrian said one evening. Zara tensed. Are you sure that's a good idea? You're important to me. They should know you. What he didn't say, he was terrified. Terrified that his world would reject her. Terrified that he wouldn't be strong enough to fight for her if it did. The Cole family estate loomed like a monument to old money: stone columns, manicured gardens, rooms filled with portraits of ancestors who'd built fortunes on exclusion. Diana Cole waited in the drawing room, posture perfect, expression carefully neutral. Mother, this is Zara Monroe. Diana's smile was ice wrapped in silk. Ms. Monroe. Adrian has told me so much about you. All good things, I hope, Zara said, extending her hand. Diana took it briefly. He says you're very articulate. Very accomplished. It must have taken exceptional determination to reach your position. The words were polite. The subtext was not. I've been fortunate to have opportunities and the ability to seize them, Zara replied evenly. Of course. Though I imagine your journey was quite different from Adrian's. Diana poured tea with practiced precision. The Cole family has a certain legacy to maintain. Expectations. Responsibilities that go beyond personal preference. Adrian's jaw clenched. Mother. I'm simply saying that our world operates on very specific principles, darling. Principles that have sustained us for generations. Diana's gaze landed on Zara. I'm sure you understand. Zara understood perfectly. She understood that she was being measured, judged, and found wanting, not for who she was, but for what she represented: disruption to a carefully maintained order. The dinner was excruciating. Every compliment from Diana carried a barb. Every question implied that Zara didn't belong. Adrian felt the tension like a vice around his chest, but he hesitated, caught between the woman he loved and the family that had defined him. When Zara finally left, Diana turned to her son. She's lovely, Adrian. Truly. But your world wasn't built to bend. Don't destroy it chasing ideals. Adrian wanted to argue. Instead, he said nothing, and his silence was the first crack in everything that followed. The paparazzi photos appeared 2 weeks later. Adrian and Zara leaving a restyle. His hand on the small of her back, her head thrown back in laughter. The tabloids spun it immediately. Cole Empire heir and controversial romance. / Tech CEO's shocking new relationship raises questions. The investor calls started within hours. This is a distraction, Adrian, Victor said, pacing his office. The board is concerned. Shareholders are nervous. You need to control this narrative. There's nothing to control. I'm dating someone. That's not a scandal. It becomes one when it affects stock prices. Victor stopped pacing. I'm your friend, and I'm telling you, cut your losses before this costs you everything. But it was already costing Zara everything. At her office, whispers followed her down hallways. Conflict of interest. / Using connections. / Gold digger. Professional colleagues suddenly questioned her credentials, her projects, her intentions. When she confronted Adrian about it, his response shattered her. Just give it time. The attention will fade. Time? Zara's voice shook with anger and hurt. Adrian, they're dismantling my reputation while you ask for patience. Where's your voice? Where's your defense? I'm trying to manage this situation. No. You're trying to protect your image. There's a difference. She grabbed her coat. I love you. But I won't be loved quietly, like I'm something to be ashamed of. She left. Adrian let her go. And in his silence, he proved every fear she'd ever had about loving someone from his world. 2 weeks passed. Adrian buried himself in work, trying to forget the way Zara looked at him before she walked away. Trying to forget that he'd chosen comfort over courage. Then Diana visited Zara's apartment. It was evening when the knock came. Zara opened the door to find Diana Cole standing there, perfectly composed, devastatingly calm. Mrs. Cole. This is unexpected. May I come in? Against her better judgment, Zara stepped aside. Diana sat gracefully on the modest couch, surveying the apartment with the same appraising look she'd given Zara at dinner. You have good taste. Understated but intentional. Why are you here? To be honest with you. Woman to woman. Diana folded her hands. You're remarkable, Ms. Monroe. Brilliant, accomplished, exactly the kind of person who could genuinely make Adrian happy. And that's precisely the problem. Zara waited. This world, our world, will eat you alive. Not because you're not good enough, but because you refuse to perform the way it demands. You won't diminish yourself, and they'll punish you for it. They'll punish Adrian for choosing you. So you want me to leave? I want you to understand what you're asking him to sacrifice. His reputation, his investors' confidence, his family's legacy. Eventually, he'll resent you for costing him everything. Diana's voice softened with something almost like kindness. Let him go before love turns to resentment. Zara stood slowly, every muscle controlled, every word measured. You raised a man who can conquer rooms but not his fears. Who built an empire but can't defend the woman he loves. That's not my failure, Mrs. Cole. It's yours. Diana's composure cracked, just for a moment. Leave, Zara said quietly. And tell your son that if he wants to speak to me, he can come himself. Without hiding behind his mother's approval. Diana left without another word. When Adrian discovered the visit 2 days later, from Victor, who'd heard it from the building's doorman, he felt rage unlike anything he'd ever experienced. He found his mother in the estate library. You went to see Zara? Diana didn't look up from her book. I was protecting you. From what? Happiness? Love? Something real in a life full of performances? From a choice you'll regret. No. Adrian's voice cracked. You taught me how to win, Mother. How to negotiate, strategize, dominate. But you never taught me how to love. How to be vulnerable. How to fight for something beyond profit margins and legacy. Diana closed her book, finally meeting his eyes. Zara called me a coward, Adrian continued, and she was right. I've been so afraid of disappointing you, of tarnishing the Cole name, that I forgot to build something worth keeping. Someone worth fighting for saw me, really saw me, and I was too weak to protect her. Adrian. I'm done performing, he said quietly. For you. For the board. For a world that demands I sacrifice the only thing that's ever made me feel human. 3 days later, Adrian stood backstage at the Global Innovation Conference, prepared speech in hand. His PR team had crafted it carefully, safe, inspiring, forgettable. He looked at the words and felt nothing. Then he looked out at the audience, thousands of people waiting for him to tell them what they wanted to hear, and made a choice. He walked onto the stage, crumpled the speech, and spoke from his heart. I'm supposed to talk to you today about innovation and market disruption. About the future of technology and sustainable growth. And I will. But first, I need to talk about accountability. The audience shifted, uncertain. I've spent my life building success on a foundation I never questioned. I inherited wealth, opportunity, and a name that opened every door. And I convinced myself that my accomplishments were mine alone. That I'd earned everything through merit and hard work. Adrian gripped the podium. But success means nothing if it's built on exclusion. If it demands that brilliant minds be overlooked because they don't look like me, sound like me, or come from where I come from. Cameras flashed. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I'm announcing today the creation of the Cole Monroe Foundation, co-founded with one of the most brilliant minds I've ever encountered, Zara Monroe. We'll be funding initiatives for marginalized communities in tech and urban development, creating pathways for voices that have been systematically silenced. Some people applauded. Others frowned. Adrian didn't care. I've learned that real innovation isn't about disrupting markets. It's about disrupting ourselves. Questioning who we are and who we've been taught to be. Choosing growth over comfort, truth over performance. In the audience, Zara sat with tears streaming down her face, pride and love and relief woven together. Success without integrity is just expensive emptiness. Adrian finished. And I'm done being empty. The applause was divided, but it was loud. Adrian found Zara afterward in the green room. She stood when he entered, eyes red, smile breaking through. You beautiful idiot, she whispered. I'm sorry. For all of it. For my silence, my fear, my failure to fight when it mattered most. You're fighting now. I should have fought sooner. He took her hands. You don't have to forgive me. But I need you to know, I choose you. Every single day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Zara kissed him, and it felt like coming home. 2 weeks later, Adrian drove to Sable Cove, the quiet coastal town where Zara's family kept a small cottage. He found her on the beach, watching waves crash against rocks worn smooth by time. You followed me, she said without turning. Always. He sat beside her in the sand. You didn't save me, Zara. You helped me see myself. The man I could be if I was brave enough. Are you? Brave enough? I'm trying to be. He pulled a small box from his pocket, hands trembling. I don't have pretty words prepared. No grand gesture. Just this, you're the most honest thing that's ever happened to me. You challenged me, changed me, made me want to be worthy of you. And I'm asking, hoping, that you'll let me spend my life trying. Zara looked at the ring, simple and perfect, then at Adrian, vulnerable and real. Yes, she said. Not because you're perfect. But because you're trying. Because you chose growth. Because you chose us. He slipped the ring on her finger, and they sat together as the sun set over water that had witnessed 1,000 endings and beginnings. If you're still watching, drop a comment below telling us what you think about Adrian's journey. And if this story moved you, hit that like button, it helps us create more content like this. The wedding was small. Intimate. Both families attended, though Diana Cole sat stiffly in the third row, pride and reservation warring on her face. But when Adrian and Zara exchanged vows, honest, raw, beautiful, something in Diana's expression softened. "I promise to choose you," Adrian said, voice steady. "Every day. In every room. Against every expectation that tells us love should be convenient. I promise to see you," Zara replied. "Not the legacy or the name. Just you. The man brave enough to become himself." The foundation launched 3 months later. Adrian and Zara stood together before a crowd of press, investors, and community members, hands clasped, united. In the end, Adrian said in his speech, voice carrying across the room, "I didn't fall in love with perfection. I fell in love with truth. With someone who refused to let me hide. And that truth changed everything." Diana watched from the back of the room. As the applause thundered, she caught Zara's eye and nodded, small, almost imperceptible, but there. Acknowledgement. Respect. The beginning of peace. That night, Adrian and Zara stood on their apartment balcony overlooking the city, lights spreading below them like earthbound stars. "Do you regret it?" Zara asked quietly. "Everything you had to give up." "I didn't give anything up." Adrian pulled her closer. "I traded performance for purpose. Legacy for love. And I'd make that choice 1,000 times over. Even when it's hard? Especially when it's hard. Love doesn't erase who we were, Adrian thought. It redeems who we choose to become." And for the first time in his carefully constructed life, Adrian Cole felt something profound and undeniable: peace. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful narratives about love, growth, and choosing truth over comfort. Leave a comment sharing your own experiences with choosing authenticity over expectations. We read every single one. And hit that like button to help this message reach others who need to hear it. Thank you for watching, and remember, real success isn't about what you conquer. It's about who you become in the pursuit.